practicing converting temperature, significant figure calculations, and unit conversions. Convert 81 degrees Fahrenheit to Kelvin. So I know that Kelvin can come from Celsius. Kelvin is equal to degrees Celsius plus 273.15. Okay, so that means that I don't have a direct conversion from Fahrenheit to Kelvin. However, I can go from Celsius to Kelvin, so I just need to convert from Fahrenheit to Kelvin. So I have my first step and then my second step. So my equation converting from Fahrenheit to Celsius is equal to Fahrenheit minus 32 divided by 1.8, which is 81 minus 32 divided by 1.8, and that equals to 27.22 degrees Celsius. Since this is not my answer, I want to try and keep as many digits as possible so that I can make sure I get the correct answer. You want to try and not round or use significant figures until you got to your final answer, because you could lose some important numbers. So now, since my next step is to go to Kelvin, I add 273.15 and I get 300.37 Kelvin. Now I've gotten to the answer that I want. Always write units and then check your significant figures. 81 is 2 sig figs. So I want to round this to 2 significant figures. So I need to stop it here. If I just write 30, I have 1 sig fig and I changed the value of the number. So that's not correct. If I write 300, then I do have the value that I want. However, I only have 1 significant figure. If I put a period here at the end, I have 3 significant figures and I want 2. So the only real option here for 2 significant figures and to keep the value is to keep this answer and write it into scientific notation. 3.0 times 10 to the power of 2 Kelvin gives you your final answer. Perform the following calculations. So you see, all right, 345 minus 298.7. The first thing to do before worrying about rounding or writing significant figures is to subtract 345 minus 298.7. That gives you 46.3. Now you check significant figures. You are adding or subtracting, so digits after the decimal is what you're looking at. Lowest amount. So here I have 1 and here I have 1, so 46.3 is my answer. Now the next one, I have 2400 plus 48.26, 48.26 plus 178. That gives me 2,626.26. Now, I check how many digits I want. You're adding and subtracting again, so you check for digits after the decimal. You have 2 here, you have 0 here, and 0 here. So your lowest would be not to have any digits after the decimal. So 2,626 is your answer. Now, when you multiply, divide, you want your answer in lowest number of significant figures. So first, you take your 312 and multiply it by 7.033, and you get 2,194.296. So now you check, okay, I have 1, 2, 3 sig figs here, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 significant figures here, and want my answer to be in the lowest, which would be 3, so I cut it off at the 9. 4 is lower than 5, so I round down. Then you can write 2,190 or 2.19 times 10 to the third. Convert 2.50 yards to millimeters. So you're given the conversion to go from meters to yards. And then the trick here is that you have a prefix of milli. So your prefix is milli, little m. And milli is smaller than your actual value, than your standard, where meter is your standard. So there is 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. So you want yards, and you're given the conversion to go to meters, and now you just found your conversion to go to millimeters. So you start with your 2.50 yards times your conversion given here. Since you want meters, that goes on the top, and then you put your 1.0936 yards on the bottom, times 1,000 millimeters divided by 1 meter. Always double check. Yards cancel, meters cancel. You're left with millimeters. And if you plug that in, you will get 2.50 divided by 1.0936 times 1,000, 2,286.02. Now I want 3 sig figs, so I would say 2,290 millimeters, or 2.29 times 10 to the third millimeters. And then I would get my answer that way. So the key thing here is knowing, all right, you have yards and you wanted millimeters. You're given the conversion to go from yards to meters. So then you had to figure out what the prefix conversion is from milli. So no, deci, centi, milli are all smaller from your standard. Kilo is when you're then bigger.